We are gonna roll with it. Um, so yeah, let's get right into this. This is the podcast review for Ebrahim Turner. I think the podcasts are long, so I totally get if you like if nobody's like if you don't watch the whole thing, but there is just we get so much out of this that I think it helps so many people. So you're either gonna hear it now or you're gonna hear it on the clips. Obviously this is a super casual thing, so we'll see kind of how it goes. Um, but yeah, if you are interested in getting connected with me or joining the collect, hit the link under this video. It's an unshameful plug because what we do over there is, we network other creators with powerful entrepreneurs. And, I really give full access with that. We feature your content on the page, whole deal. So get tapped in with that. But without further ado, let's get into this. Reasons you should watch this episode. So moving to Bali, why you should, why it's normal. I think, I'm going to try to get through this within 10, 15 minutes, but who knows? But moving to Bali, why you should, why it's normal. So I think not directly to Bali, but I think everybody has that like desire for freedom. It's not about like the specifics of the place you go, but if you're uncomfortable in the environment you're in right now, and we talk about this deeply, like on the episode, if you're not comfortable, your environment really affects your internal state, which then affects a lot of everything else. And it's no secret. So, for me personally, like I'm thinking about going for a month, and it's just like, I think, don't think of it as like anything long-term, everything's temporary, but find out where you could be like, feel free and just get there because it's really seen to expedite success. For me, even coming to Miami from a small town was a bit of that. Another key thing we go over. So there's a time in everyone's process where you are letting things happen. Like you think because we grow up in such a structured system and you go through school and you know exactly what grade's coming after and what grade you have to get. And then college, it's like, if I get this degree, I'll apply for these jobs. And, but there's a lot of like, just waiting till you take that test, waiting till you do this, waiting till you do that. Everything has a set date. So we become like, we think life and everything just happens like that. Like we think we're just going to find someone and get married like naturally. And like, yes, in a sense, but if that's how you're thinking, then you probably won't ever get it, and like, there's a time when everyone's like, oh, you start a business, you can become a millionaire. Right. But if you just work on the business here and there, you work on it, once a week or once a month, or, even in personal development, if you want to get better, like more peaceful, more just in tune with who you are, then, you can't just do it for a week and expect the results to just kind of happen and then stop doing it. There comes a time, and this is what Ebrahim says, where you have to use will to get where you want to get to. So that's when it comes into what are like decisions that you think are risky right now that in reality would just make you more free or make you feel more like yourself and would bring you closer to your goals. So in this case, it's, if you feel uncomfortable in your current environment, that's moving somewhere from seeing how it is, right? If you have to go back home, just get in tune with yourself for 2 weeks, but then make consistent positive decisions, that, they create the willpower where you want to go. So I asked him this question that I think is important, and it was what made him think it was possible. So for those of you that don't know Ebrahim, he runs his own course. He's a face on social media, and he really lives this like online business, digital nomad lifestyle, and he does very well. And that's not my business to tell, but these guys are in successful positions for a reason. He just moved to Bali full time. And I asked him what made him think all this was possible, and he says, if one person can do it, so can I. And on the pure basis, it seems simple. And then he interviewed, shout out to Serge, this past week, and he asked his guest Serge the same question, who's also similar space, does multiple figures in the online marketing space, and I learned a lot from that episode. But Serge talks about creating knowledge. So he says you have the ability to learn about the person who knows the person who can teach you everything you need to know. And in our case, living in where we live, like in today's era, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have YouTube, you have all these outlets of people that have done it like Ebrahim, in his own sense, like he has gotten, to goals that I'm sure people would love to hit, and like Serge, and they offer it to the world, and there's those people everywhere. If you want to be the next great movie star, the next great artist, you can study these people. You have the access to study these people. You have the access to study the people that are connected to these people and learn. So in that sense, you really can do anything. And, tying it back, if one person can do it, so can I. Yes, go find that person, use what Serge says about, learning about the person, knows the person. And, at the end of the day, it comes down to a decision. So I think that was a solid segment, and going back, his key advantage, he says he found mentors. I think that ties right into that. When you start to find these people, start seeing the people who are appreciating that you're reaching out. I think my relationships get a lot deeper with, networking when I can tell the person, like me, like I always respect when somebody comes up to me and introduces themselves, or, validates themselves, like lets me know what they're doing. Like I always have appreciated that. And I can tell the same way when I am just out in public and I see somebody really takes an interest in what I'm doing. I'm so much more likely to work with that person. And that comes down to intention. So how can we be intentional in all of our conversations? I asked Ebrahim this, and he said, I asked him, how can you practice being as intentional as possible? He says, tune into yourself before, during, and after any event. So and I say any event because naturally, you're not thinking about how you actually feel before, during, or after, if you're going out, in our scene, or just you're going into a social environment, but tune in to see how you feel just going about your daily life, right? So before you go to the gym in the morning, just think, how do I feel now? During, just have those 5 seconds, and you'll by instinctively noticing how you feel, you'll reprogram your psyche to not need effort to make good decisions, because you're going to be at the party and then notice, oh, I'm been scrolling on Instagram for the last 10 hours. No wonder nobody's talking to me, right? Or the last 20 minutes, no wonder nobody's coming up and nobody's interested in what I'm doing. And now I'm not having fun. And it's those 5 seconds you can flip, because then you can also decide to go up and say hello and start a conversation, right? Or go get a drink. It's these, that instinctive decision will lead to everything else, right? So when you feel good, when you notice yourself feeling great at the gym, you're going to want to come back to that dopamine release. But if you just go to the gym and the whole time you're thinking, oh, this sucks, I'm just doing this to lose weight, blah, 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 then you're just going to come home and those are the feelings you're going to remember. You don't remember the physical act. You remember how it makes you feel. And just repeatedly doing that. Ebrahim says it really well. He says that's the difference between willpower and effort. And I think that's very accurate. Now, touching on that, just while we're on the high level dopamine, 9 minutes in, not too bad. I always say if you want to reach your highest level, you have to raise your frequency to that level, and I think that's repeated a lot. There's a reason you feel impressed if, say, Jack Harlow comes up to you and introduces himself, because they're operating at a frequency that, I hate to say it, but you're just not. If you're desiring to be at that level and you're not, then that's what, you feel that for a reason. When you're crushing it, and I've noticed this, the more you upgrade your network, the more you continue to meet higher level people and consistently get around higher level people, you appreciate what they're doing, and you have they mutually respect that as well. So they, it's not that you love praise, you love, feeling that, but definitely raising yourself to that level, doing the due diligence on the self-growth side, right, will naturally make you just feel like that. You'll be more relaxed and you'll have more engaging conversations, right? I think people get caught up in being like, oh, I haven't met them, so there's no way I could ever be in the same room as them. That's not true, right? That's not true. I've seen it from my own eyes. It comes down to how are you approaching that situation? How much awareness are you taking to that situation? And the people with higher level awareness are having higher level success. Even in the DMs, even if you're going to DM a business and you're doing outreach, I think this is a great thing to just rip on real quick. you want to work with the highest level accounts. You know, those, they have the most money, they want to do the most growth, they're the most motivated to work. And if you're confident in your product and you know how to explain exactly what you're doing and why you're providing value, then they'll feel it. But if you don't have the knowledge, like we're going back, and you didn't study and you didn't go in, then you shouldn't have the confidence. And you're right, those people aren't necessarily going to respond. It shouldn't stop you from going through the process. So give it your best effort. It's the intention. If your intention's strong enough, you'll be able to close. I mean, I've closed multiple deals on services that maybe I didn't know the most about, but I knew the people that knew the people, and we got, we took care of it. My advantage was I understood the problem the company was having. I understood how we could fix it, and, went about it, went about our business that way. But it came down to a belief. Did I have any business reaching out to that major brand? Probably not. But in my head, they had a problem. Nobody was offering to fix it. I went in, you did it. So that's a big thing. Let's see here. Creating good karma. I think choosing to see life as happening for you, not to you. Probably the biggest change I made in the last 2 years. Not that I was ever a negative person, but I would say, like, just naturally, I thought it was normal to, like, when bad shit happened to me, like, oh, bad shit keeps happening to me. Like, because everyone around me was thinking like that. And just, I've realized, well, if I just look at slightly negative as, what can I learn from this? Also look, like, there's so many different perspectives, but the main ones I focus on are, what can I learn from this? And, trusting that, like, in a sense, like, God gives his toughest battles to his highest achievers, right? So, like, in that sense, just connect on that point, like, you have to learn the most and you have to go through the most to reach the highest level. I just think you're able to do that at scale when you're not letting it affect you every day. So when it happens every time, like, your first thought is, okay, I'm just leveling up. It changes everything. The situation slows down. You just see, okay, how am I going to get through this? It's happening for you, not to you. When you solve that problem, you raise your confidence. Like, so many positives go into taking that action, like taking the action to not let that affect you. It's huge. If you want to find out why everything changed for me at 20, check out minutes 36 to 38. I think that's a good point. Few things I highlight, like a significant event. I'd talk about that. If you've had a significant event that you probably, like, pushed aside or just didn't know how to necessarily cope with, that, changed a lot for me. And then, Ebrahim touches on why his flip switch, but also expands on that, the significant event, kind of why stuff changed for me at 20. We talk about why relationships and breakups are one of the best things that can happen to you. We talk about dating as an entrepreneur in your 20s, or simply just being focused on, your goals, how men should approach that. I think that was really important. If you want to go to minutes, it's minute 40. Well, at minute 39, we really talk about the whole dating scene from 36 to 40. So I would say from 36 to 40, how to attract attractive women as an entrepreneur in build mode. I'm sure ladies can pull from this as well. And then in your early 20s, if you want to build, fine. If you want to have both, and this is kind of what I took from this to get more into the details. In your early 20s, if you're growing, you should find somebody, we talk about this frequency level, that's also growing, and that it's also okay with, being, like, not okay with being in build mode, but also has their own goals. That's my best way of putting it. If they're also in a similar boat where, they're focused on grad school, they're focused on graduating college, like, find these people that have a purpose aside from the relationship, and you'll start to attract those people, because you'll talk about your goals constantly. You'll be checking in, you'll be motivated. I think that's the biggest thing. So if you want to date in your early 20s, find somebody who wants to grow with you. Or my advice is wait until, and this is what Ebrahim says as well, like, wait until you've built something you can kind of share with anyone, and then focus on the other qualities you care about. So, in your late 20s, it could be about family building. It could be like just anything that enhances your life. Maybe you want somebody who wants to travel and be solo just like you do. But it's just, it's nice to to not be alone. Now you've built something that gives you the freedom to do that. Nothing wrong with that. I think just identifying where I'm taking those self-assessments, where am I at, where do I want my time spent? And then finding someone who's in that similar boat, because you won't have to do as much changing. I think when we have to go through high levels of change, we experience high levels of stress, and then that turns into lack of production. And then, just kind of wrap this up, because I think, you can go and watch the episode. Hopefully I gave you some stuff to dive into. But remember, when you grow, everyone around you also grows. So this comes back to this whole theme of awareness. Check in with yourself, and trust that when you start locking in on you, then stuff starts to happen. Okay. You don't have time to influence other things with your thoughts. You're locked in on a goal, and those around you can feel it. And, my opinion is always do it for a week and convince yourself that you don't feel different. 'Cause that's all, do it for a week and convince yourself that you don't feel different. It'll be hard. And then finally, I talk about my real period where I felt like I just couldn't change. And, that was within the last 12 to 15 months. Right. And I really dive into how at minute 50, how you're allowed to change. How I very recently just started this phrase, execute on instinct. And that just came down to a decision I made where it was like, how do I ultimately just have faith in everything that I'm doing and eliminate the question? And I started looking at when I had these instincts to build my business, instincts to build the podcast, instincts to reach out to this person. I look at it as execution and me getting better and reaching, that highest self, that highest level. And yeah, if there's one thing, leave you on this, execute on instinct and do it for 7 days. Just try it. Peace. Check out. Oh, I didn't wrap it up. Okay. Sorry. Pause. Not peace. Yeah. Well, peace, but not yet. Will Coomer episode drops Sunday. If you stayed this late in the video, I'll probably end up clipping this. But if you want to tune in Sunday, it's week 44. Will Coomer is a global entrepreneur who specializes in creating mindful, social, and physical environments for digital nomads around the world. On the episode, we're going to dive into the opportunities available in today's world for anyone to live their dream life. Will's got a pretty inspiring story, so that's going to be cool. We're talking about dream design, college, what he got out of it. A huge theme on this one is mental health. The number one killer of men under 40 is themselves. So I always thought that's a very deep, topic we dive into. And then we go through social media success, and then we really dive. The last questions on these episodes are good. They're insightful. So we talk about what the world needs more of, how Will wants to be remembered, what's something he recently changed his opinion about, and then 2 questions he asked the host. So tune into that. Again, if you want to join the collect, if you want to level up your social media, hit the link below. I'd respond to every single DM, so just hit me if you are interested. Peace.